In this episode, we are going to get the tubes in. We're going to get a little bit of wiring done and get it wheeled over to power and get it powered up. So I really encourage you to watch the video to the end because you'll see some pretty interesting things going on with this machine. So ultimately, I'm not gonna do spoiler alert. So just watch to the end. You'll see what happens. I've been trying to keep these videos 12 to 15 minutes. I actually had a conversation with a fellow named Paul about the optimum length of the video, and this one winds up being like a half an hour. I was going to break it into two videos, but that for you guys who are really interested in how this thing runs, that would be torture to split that up just for the sake of anticipation. So I let this one run all the way through so you can see what we have and be really curious to see what your feedback is as you watch this thing get powered up for the first time in quite a few years. So I hope you enjoy the video. Thanks. Okay, so here's the tubes for the I guess the modular 10EE. I don't know what year that started. So each machine has 3 tubes. You have 2 of these large guys and then 1 of these little guys, and I'll show you where they go in the machine. So this set of tubes came from the machine that I'm restoring. This set of tubes came from the 30-inch 10EE. And if you notice, this smaller tube, the top is damaged. When I moved these machines from the factory that they were in, all the recommendations that I got was to make sure you take the tubes out, do not transport the machine with the tubes in. So I did remove the tubes, I packed them up nicely, but when I went to take this tube out, this socket that goes on here was damaged and it pulled up. The tube is probably still good, but the contact area is screwed up. So I actually found a replacement. I think this came from eBay. It wasn't that expensive. These particular ones seem to be more readily available than the large tubes. This right here, this is a spare set of tubes. Again, I found those on eBay. They came up one day 3 or 4 years ago, and the price was right. It was a buy it now, so I grabbed them. I did have problems with my other restored 10EE, the 20-inch. I had really erratic speeds. I couldn't control the speed. It behaved kind of weird. So I reached out to Monarch, and they suspected the tubes. One of the tubes may be bad. So I packed them up. I sent them to Monarch. They tested them, and they reported back to me that one of the tubes was good and one was bad. So I wound up buying a replacement, used replacement from Monarch. It was a few $100s, and that it worked fine. So I haven't had to really mess with that, with the drive system on the other 20-inch. So again, those are the tubes. I'm sure many of you folks out there that have these tube-powered Monarchs are probably like, oh my God, just can I have a set of those tubes, because they're just really not easy to come by. So the tubes go in here. So let's get this thing apart. And there's a bolt that holds it on here. We'll get this bolt off. And then this door flips down. Oops, sorry. Okay, so the tubes go in here. So hold on, I got a wire that's tied up on this terminal block. So these wires, I'm gonna have to just tie up, they just were loose in there. I'm sorry, right here. They were connected, but they just flopping around. And where they go, I'll show you where they go in a second. These 2 wires right here come from the cooling fan. I haven't hooked them back up yet. I got to connect them up here. I marked where they go, right there where it says fan. So I'll hook those up, and because I took the fan out and cleaned it and put new bearings in it. All right, so let's get the the small tube in first. So these are indexed. There's 2 larger diameter, 2 smaller diameters, so you can't screw it up. And we'll get that in there. And this is like a little latch deal that we have to flip over and lock in place. Okay. And then this guy just simply goes on here. Okay. All right. All right, so now let's go grab a big tube. All right, so these grounds are loose, so I gotta go back to the diagram and figure out, which ones they connect to. So I'm pretty sure that quick check and we could figure that out. So there's a couple wing nuts down here that hold these in place, which I gotta loosen up. And I think it's going to be easier if I get this tube out of the way. Now, I also believe that there's a setting that you have to measure, which I did on my other lathe. There's different taps on this transformer, and you're looking for a certain voltage. Because these are the tubes that came out of this machine in the order that they were in the machine. I don't believe I have to mess with that. I'll probably check it just to make sure it's correct. So in other words, if this machine was originally on 208 as opposed to say 220, which I have 220 here, it's a little bit less than 220, that may throw the voltage off a bit. And from what I understand, the machine will run okay, but it may shorten the life of the tube. So we'll just verify that it's correct. And you can only, I think, if you go on Practical Machinist, there's all kinds of information about that. And I believe that there's a plus and minus percentage off of the target number that's allowed. And it's pretty forgiving, within those certain taps. You're not going to get to the exact number. So, all right, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to just verify, I think on this side here, F plus goes, I do know that it goes to the to this guy right here. So we'll get a wrench on there, screwdriver, and we'll get that loosened up. All right, I'll bring you back in a second. Okay, so again, let's just take a look at what we have. We have F plus and F minus, F plus, F minus, and ground. So the ground is going to go down to the bottom here. So let's get that on there. Sorry, my grubby fingers are in the way. F plus. Okay, I have to go get a wrench for that. F plus is going to go to the top, and F minus comes down here to let's see, where is it? The bottom, right there. So F plus and F minus. All right, let me go get some tools for that. All right, so I got some tools, and we'll just get these guys loosened up. What I'm trying to do is stop the ring lugs from spinning as I tighten it. I really don't want any arcing. Okay. So hopefully, you know, after this machine has been sitting for the last, I guess it's been a couple years that I've had it, that it just is going to fire right up. I haven't cleaned any of the relays on this one yet, so, you know, we'll see what happens if I have to clean them. Well, you know what, I'm going to clean them anyway, but, you know, the contacts and the relays have to be cleaned up. I ran into that problem on the other machine. All right, let me go get the other tube. I do think that, I don't know if I talked about this before, but I do think that there was some guy somewhere, some electrical engineer working on a solid state plug compatible device to replace this tube setup. I don't know if he ever finished it, or, you know, what the level of interest, you know, might be for that. Let me see where that, I'll have to look at the video and see where this fell out of. I remember as a kid going to Radio Shack or Lafayette's with my father with all the tubes out of our TV set, putting them in the tube tester. And the good old days. Big outing to Lafayette. Let's go check those tubes. I'm quite sure if we would have showed up at Lafayette's with one of these tubes, everyone would have ran for the hills, thinking we're going to blow the place up. Not your typical TV tube. Now, for some reason, I'm just sure, did that thing come out of the center of that? I don't know. All right, guys, I'm going to just check on that video, see if I can figure out where this little plastic piece fell off of. So guys, this little part that fell off, I believe it goes right in the center of that piece right there. And we'll get this tube back in. Okay, we'll get it latched up. Okay, got everything tightened down. So I'm going to hook the fan wires back up. So again, these two wires right here for the fan. These two wires are for the lockout for the back gear open belt selector. That is a solenoid that is right here. So that little plunger prevents you from putting the gearbox into back gear while the machine is running. So on my other machine, this solenoid was bad. I have not tested on this machine. However, according to Monarch, that solenoid is not really available. You can get it used. He suggested if I'm the only guy using the machine and I'm careful with it and know that I won't try to shift it while it's running, he wouldn't worry about it. So what I did was I removed the plunger on the other machine. So if this one doesn't work, I'll remove the plunger and just know that, you know, I removed an idiot-proof feature on the machine, which doesn't, which would stop you from shifting gears while the machine's running. Not too worried about that. There's actually quite a few wires that go to this particular two terminal locations, and I guess that's just like sort of the auxiliary 110. because it also has a 110 service light, or, you know, sort of spindle light. I'm going to tie wrap these wires up in a little bit. So let's get this closed up so that I can wheel it closer to where my power is. And make sure these wires are out of the way. And we'll just hand tighten this tie in here right now. I'm just going to feed the power right from the front. And so that is going to be right here. So you have L1, 2, and 3. So we're only going to be running L1 and L2 on these guys. The center one, which is not connected on this particular machine because it does not have a coolant option. So there's no coolant pump. The coolant pump is the only thing on this machine that runs on 3-phase. So you can see over here that the coolant switch is not installed. So let me move this machine over to where I've got some power, and we'll get it connected up and see what happens. All right, guys, I have this machine moved over to where I've got my power available, which is a welding circuit. It's a little overkill because it doesn't draw that much, but that's really all I had available. So I just wired it in right through the front, right here. You can see, got the tubes right there. One thing I'll point out, see that wrench up there, or the pliers? If you're messing around up here anywhere, and that door is flipped down like that, even if it's just your, you know, an Allen wrench for a tool post or something, I highly recommend you don't do that. The reason is I dropped an Allen wrench, this is a few years ago, and it slid down and it bounced off of here and it fell right in between the two tubes, and thankfully nothing broke. So just a word of wisdom. You know, you don't intend on dropping tools, but it can happen, and that would be really unfortunate. All right, so I have the power on. I have not turned this on yet, so we're going to see this together. Let's see what happens. So we're going to flip this this contactor on right here. Okay, so that's the fan running right back there. All right, so that's good. So we got power there. On my other lathe, I believe it's on all of these lathes, there's a timer, like a time delay. So when this light comes on, then that means the time delay has timed out and you can actually turn the power on. So let's see what happens. I don't remember how long that timer is. I think it's like a minute. So we'll sit here and wait. A little nerve-wracking. Make sure it's off. Okay, we're off. All right. Watching paint dry, watching water boil. Okay, so our control indicator is on, so we should be able to hit that thing and the contactor should pull in. Okay, bingo. All right, so let's see. First things first, I got this set for right hand. This is where it'd be really super deluxe to have Chuck from Outside Screwball here, because he knows all about machines with the ELSR on them. All right, so let's see. We have that set in open belt right here. Let's put everything over to belt feed first. Okay, let's see. Let me hold you on here for a minute. I just got to spin the chuck. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get my stand over here so that I can get both hands free. Okay, so let's get this thing into feed. Okay. And this is belt feed. Right there. We're in open belt here. Feeds. I got my speed turned down. So let's see what happens. Okay. So you saw that, right? Let's take a peek at what that looked like. All right, so we're definitely spinning here pretty good. Our tubes are lit. See them glowing. It's actually pretty quiet. The spindle's pretty quiet. (2,000 RPM). Nice and quiet. Now come down here and take a peek at this guy. That arcing is kind of normal, but now I got the speed all the way down. So it's probably the sensitivity of this, of this contactor. If anybody out there knows what that means, just turning up a little bit of speed. But are you noticing that tube? That one is staying pretty constant, sort of. Okay, so let's turn it down. Got it like at 500. And let's see, we have it on feeds. Let's see if we can gauge this. There we go. So I wasn't set on an actual number here. So our feed screw is turning, feed rod is turning. So now, push that guy in. So we're running there, and we're running there. And we know you can actually do both. Kind of cool. This is 1940 style CNC. 2 axes at the same time. Axes. All right, so the other direction, Okay, that's working. All right, so let's turn the speed down and see what happens when we spin it the other way. Okay, so that's interesting. So I got to figure out what's happening here. I don't have any speed control in reverse. Sure why that is. Maybe it's supposed to be. How about if I put this guy in neutral? See what that does. It doesn't do anything. How about if we do left hand? Nope, still no speed control in reverse. So, well, we'll have to troubleshoot that at some point. What else do we want to check? Let's check out the threading lead screw. All right, so we'll get this thing over to, you know what, before I do that, let's try back here, see if how noisy that is. So let's go the other direction. So this is still the same problem. This is interesting because same thing in reverse. I don't have any control over the speed, so that's going to take a little bit of troubleshooting. We'll have to figure out what that is. Maybe it's the taps on that transformer we got to mess with. I don't know. So let's we'll put it back into open belt. let's try to get this into threading, right-hand threads. All right, so let's see what happens with that. That's pretty noisy. Right-hand threads, right hand. So now the lead screw is running. I'm going to bring you over and let you listen to some of this noise that we have when we have it in threading. Definitely feels like it's coming out of here somewhere. Alright guys, one more time. So I definitely hear a lot of rattling around in here, so I think what I might do before I button this thing up once and for all, I might take that cover off, take a peek in here and see if there's a bad bearing that I can find, or maybe a chipped gear or something. I'm not sure. I mean, everything works in terms of threading, feeding. What doesn't seem to work is speed control on reverse and low speed, where we get that that relay cycling. So here, if we get this in here, so again, get this in the middle. I'm sorry, put that in the middle position, and then get our threading going. Maybe the crash that you see there was something that was caused by or caused the one of those teeth to chip off of a gear in there. I don't know, but it does work. I got like a little stiff spot. And that might be just, if you remember when I put this part together, I had a little bit of paint on there. Yeah. All right. Well, a lot fewer problems than I had than on the other one, so I'm not too worried about it. We can fix these things. All right, so that's it for this. You know what? Let me just turn the lights off, and I'm going to show you. I don't know if it's dark enough in here, but see if we can see those tubes glowing. That's always cool. So I probably, through the process of elimination, can figure out where I'm going to find a bad gear, because it's pretty quiet right there. And let's see, if I engage that, that's still pretty quiet. That's quiet. Okay, so I have everything in feed right now. This is in thread gear. How about if I turn that again? Hold on, I'm gonna shut you off for a minute. So guys, I just put my little stethoscope up to this area to see if I can figure out, you know, am I hearing the noise from here or am I hearing it from here? And it's definitely coming from the top part, which I guess is better because it's easier to get in there and figure out what's going on. So, okay, relatively minor setback, but we'll get to it. Before I tear into all that stuff, I'm probably going to finish up the tailstock and the compound, a couple of the other bits, panels and all that stuff, get it all buttoned up, and then I'll get into this first. I'm going to fix that gear problem first, and then I'll hit the electrical stuff. Okay, hope you enjoyed it.